Zuko back with the birds. What is going on? All right, I'm wearing a coat today because it's cold. Okay, guys, it's cold outside. It's super cold outside, and I'm wearing a coat, and I don't care. That's what I'm doing. All right, so nothing we can say about it. I'm back with a video today. We're talking about elemental shaman, baby. Let's go. I know a lot of you guys. You know what's funny? I haven't seen an elemental shaman in a dungeon in like 20 or 30 dungeons, maybe. It's been weeks since I've seen an elemental shaman, unfortunately. So I'm not a ranged guy, for the most part I'm a melee guy, but we're gonna talk today about what's good with the elemental shaman, what legendaries should we take, and then as we're moving into 9.2, what double legendary combination should we look forward to? Remember, guys, in 9.2, if you don't know, we're getting access to two legendaries. We can have a covenant legendary and we can have a normal legendary. Okay. So I've done it for the other shaman specs and I've done it for enhancement. I mean, I'll show you the healing one actually a little later, but right now we're talking about elemental shaman, and I want to show you guys, this is so cool. There's a couple of different ways that you can build this, and like it's just exciting and it's really cool, and I really hope that somebody takes this out for a spin because there's a really interesting build here, and I just hope that you guys are excited for it because I definitely am. Let me just start by saying there's a conduit that you need, and we're gonna go Venthyr to talk about this build. I'll explain why in a minute. For your conduit setup, the only one you need to have is this one. Fire Elemental lasts longer. I have a 226 version of this, so it lasts 41% longer, which is absurd. The cooldown, or the duration, of Fire Elemental is 42.3 seconds. Okay, guys, 42.3 seconds. So, what is this cool build I'm talking about? And why does it matter moving into 9.2? Here's the legendary we're walking right now. Flame Shock, damage over time, critical strikes. That's, sorry, key there. Damage over time crits. Reduce the cooldown of Fire Ellie by 1 second. And Flame Shock has a 50% increased critical strike chance. Okay. That's the base legendary that we're starting with. Okay, I'm going to get to the tier sets in a minute. Don't let me forget about the tier sets. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But first of all, here's the first legendary you would start with. What I want to combine this with is the Venthyr legendary, but I'll get to that in a second. Let me just show you. I have this legendary on right now. Boom, there it is. I want to show you how quickly we can get our fire elemental back. He's a 2.5 minute cooldown. Now, if you if you don't take Surge of Power, you cannot get your fire elemental back within the duration of the fire elemental. Does that make sense? So you can't get the fire elemental back in 42 seconds because that's how long he lasts. Okay. I just tried it a minute ago. I'll just show you. Let me just show you both the scenarios. You ready? Here we go. What we're trying to do is get the fire elemental back before he goes off cooldown. We want to just keep him up 100% of the time. That's what we want to do. I don't think we can actually do it with this build, but we're going to try, and I'm going to show you right now. Ready? Here we go. We're going to start with this. Get a flame shock out. Get him out there. There's the boy. We'll do this. We want to spread flame shocks as much as humanly possible. That's really the goal here. Because every time a flame shock ticks, every time it crits, it has a chance to it'll reduce the cooldown of this. I just spread a flame shock in the wrong direction because I'm an idiot. Okay, we have 3 out there now. We have 3 flame shocks going. Also, our fire elemental buffs our flame shocks, by the way. Let's go there. Okay, we have 4 out now. Look at our damage, by the way. It's like decent, right? With cooldown on Fire Ellie, guys, it's got a minute left. He's still up. What is this thing in my background? Fire Ellie, he's still up. 40 seconds. He's still going. Oh, he's gone. We got 30 seconds left. Okay, okay. I want you guys to notice this. 20 seconds left. 10 seconds. Look at it tick down because of the fire, because of the flame shocks. Tick down, tick down, tick down, and it's back. So we did it. How quick was that? Well, we know that Fire Elemental lasts 42 seconds because that's the buff that we have. And we had about 20 seconds left, I think. Although it ticked down pretty quick. I'm going to say that we got the cooldown. We took it from 2.5 minutes down to about a 50-second cooldown there. That's more or less what we did. And we had the greater Ellie. I forgot to cast his abilities, but we had the greater fire Ellie. Let me just look at the tooltip here. Let me just look at this really quick. This is really important to understand. This guy, while Fire Elemental is active, your Flame Shock deals 25% more damage, or it deals damage 25% faster, and newly applied Flame Shocks last double the duration. Really, really huge, guys, for this build that we're running, because the longer the Flame Shocks stay out there, the more chance they have of critting. And then obviously the quicker that they're dealing their damage, the higher chance we have of critting, which means we have a higher chance of lowering the cooldown on our Fire Alley. Okay? That's that's what we're trying to do, and that's what this build does. And it's possible because of the legendary here, obviously, and then this conduit. You gotta have this. That's all you really need. And then this talent setup. Here's what you could do. Okay, so we didn't quite get the fire elemental back off cooldown. I screwed up one of the flame shocks. It's partially on me, but let's try this. I want you to look at this surge of power for a second. What are we looking at here? Casting Earth Shock enhances your next spell within 15 seconds. If you cast Flame Shock afterwards, it will cast 2 Flame Shocks. It'll add a second Flame Shock. That's really good for us for this build. If you cast Lava Burst, it reduces the cooldown of Fire Ellie. So either one of those is actually an acceptable thing here. Watch this. You ready for this? Here we go. Are you ready for what we're going to do here? Let's start with this. Go here, get him out there, do our trinket just for fun. Okay, he's out. Remember, he's just a normal Ellie now. Earth Shock. Now we have 3 Flame Shocks out because I just Flame Shocked. We're going to Earth Shock again, and we're going to Lava Burst this time. Look at the cooldown of the Fire Ellie. Watch us get it back, guys. You ready for this? We're going to keep getting it back. Look it, we're getting it back, we're getting it back. Okay. We're getting it back, we're getting it back. It's almost back. And it's back, it's back. We extended him. He never actually left, he's still up. So if you take this talent, guys, cast this really quick. I'm doing this very poorly, by the way, because I'm just bad at the game. Okay, we're gonna Earth Shock. We're gonna get double spread. Here we go. We're reducing the cooldown again. We have 23 seconds left on our greater Fire Ellie. Okay, let's Earth Shock. Let's get the Lava Burst. Let's Earth Shock again, and let's Lava Burst again. Let's press buttons. We got our fire guy back again. We're gonna cast him again. Look at this. Here we go. Back to 50 seconds now. He's back to 50 seconds now. Okay, he's back to 50 seconds. He has never gone down. He is just chilling with us like a bro. Look, we're gonna get it back even quicker now. Watch this. This is the perpetual. Ready for this? I'm gonna do extra flame shocks there. Ready? Earth shock. This. Yada yada. I realize I'm wasting a bunch of buffs. I understand that. I'm just trying to show you how this works, okay? Fire Ellie, he's almost back again. Use our trinket so I don't trigger anybody. Here we go. And he's back again. 56 seconds. So in a dungeon, this is not going to work exactly the way this looks, but I'm just trying to show you that if you actually took Surge of Power, you can have infinite greater Fire Ellie. Okay? Now, you don't get the Primal Ellie, which is like, there's a bunch of damage cooked up in there. And we were basically doing a single target rotation there, by the way. We had multiple Flame Shocks out, so that is important to understand. But this Fire Ellie makes your Flame Shock dots like go crazy. You know, it does tons of Flame Shock damage. And you're getting all the Lava Surge procs all the time. And then you can keep him out infinitely. You can do infinite Fire Ellie, which is really, really cool. I think that's super cool. That's kind of how that works. Here's what's crazy. Are you ready? I had to work really hard to keep all those flame shocks going. In 9.2, we get 2 legendaries, and this is the one that you're going to take if you're playing Venthyr, obviously. You don't have to play this, but this is kind of the build that I'm talking about right now. Up to 5 friendly targets healed by Chain Harvest will have Riptide, and up to 5 enemy targets damaged by Chain Harvest will have Flame Shock cast on them. Whoa. And the fact that it says cast on them is very important. Here's what you would do. Watch, remember what Fire Elemental does? When he's active, your flame shocks deal 25% more damage, or more quickly. Sorry, they do 25% more damage. Let's just say that. And newly applied flame shocks last 100% longer. So, I actually have this legendary. This isn't going to work. We're not going to see the cooldown reduction on the fire Ellie right now, but I just want to show you how this works. What you would do is you would just, start the fight, go blammo, blammo, do chain harvest. Ready for this? 5 flame shocks. Then you cast. I did it in the wrong order. I'm an idiot. I did that in the complete wrong order. It's okay. You guys understand. You would cast Fire Ellie first, and then you would do what I just did, and then you would just burn through these you get all these lava surge procs. That's so funny. I set that up so perfectly, and then I was just like useless. What you do is you cast your fire guy first, and then you do chain harvest, and then all those um, flame shocks that went out are going to last twice as long as they normally would, and they're going to do damage 25% quicker. Yada yada yada. You get the idea. Okay. So I'm showing you both halves of a whole coin here. Two halves of a coin. Because in 9.2, guys, you get to do both of these things. You're going to be able to cast 5 flame shocks immediately. So when you get to an AoE pack in a dungeon, you pop Jimmy, and then you press Chain Harvest, and it puts out 5 flame shocks that last twice as long, deal damage 25% quicker, and they're also going to cool down. They're going to have a 50% increased crit chance because of this, and they're going to cool down Jimmy every time they tick. So you don't have to work for it like I was working for it earlier. I was trying to like apply new flame shocks every couple seconds. Like you really have to work for it. But if you and obviously when you're running a dungeon, chain harvest isn't up all the time, but like you get what I'm saying. Every other pack basically, you're going to be able to do this big fire elemental chain harvest combo, and it's going to be really really strong, okay? So that's what I'm looking at for Elemental Shaman moving into 9.2. I think there's some real power here. There's some really fun like extension of this guy. Now, one thing I do want to note really quick is that this also works with Storm Ellie, okay? So once again, let's look at the conduit. Storm Elemental lasts 41% longer, okay? It applies to Storm Ellie. And then all the stuff that's obviously the Storm Ellie, the buff that he gives you is each time you cast Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning, the cast time of Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning go down by 3%. So this is interesting because um, Lava Burst now reduces the cooldown of Storm Ellie. So we had an infinite Fire Ellie. Is it possible we could get an infinite Storm Ellie? The issue is we don't really cast Lightning Bolt with this fire build as much because we're trying to spread flame shocks because flame shocks are what get us the cooldown reduction on our storm alley. So there's not a ton of synergy here. Like we're trying to do flame shocks into lava bursts to reduce the cooldown of our elemental, but the storm elemental buffs your lightning and your chain lightning. So we're kind of splitting hairs here in terms of what we want to do. I can show you what it looks like, but it's just not it's harder to pull off, right? So let's just start with this. Wait, did I do the legendary? Nope, I have the wrong legendary. Give me a second. No, take that off. I can't change this, can I? Oh, we did it. We're good. We're good. We're good. Okay, you ready? Okay, here we go. We're gonna start with this. We're gonna get our boy out. Okay, now we're gonna be reducing the cooldown of him. Get 3 flame shocks going. Look at his cooldown. It's gonna go down. You're gonna see it. Here we go. Here we go. We're getting the cooldown. You can see the cooldown going down, guys. 130. It's going down. I need to get a flame shock spread here. There we go. But we haven't cast like chain lightning really because and chain lightning is the buff that this guy gets, so it's like it's tough, right? We're gonna get him back here in a second. He just went down. We're gonna go like this, and then we're gonna go like this, and then we're gonna go like this. And he's almost back. He's almost back. This is more like a 60-second cooldown compared to the other guy who was like a 50-second. Here, he's back now. So there we go. That's good. We got him back. But you're sort of splitting hairs, guys. You want to try and like you got to get flame shocks out, but this guy buffs your lightning stuff, right? So you see what I'm saying? I can't get the buffs to the chain lightning that I want to be getting because I want to be casting my fire stuff. So I don't think this actually works very well with the lightning guy. It's like a neat idea, but it just doesn't work as well. I feel like it's just a better fit for the fire guy because in order to get these bonuses here, you have to use flame shock and lava burst. Now, having said that, there is absolutely an option that works, and let me show you what is going on here. Tier sets. Okay, we're switching over to here. Let's look at this. Here is the elemental tier set. Are you ready? Here we go. Casting Lava Burst extends the duration of Storm Ellie or Fire Ellie by 1.5 seconds. Okay. If your Storm Ellie or Fire Ellie is not active, spending Maelstrom has a 20% chance to reduce its cooldown by 10 seconds instead. Okay. So we have permanent Storm Ellie slash Fire Ellie. While your Storm Elemental or Fire Elemental is active, your Lava Burst deals 20% additional damage and you gain Lava Surge every 8 seconds. It's interesting, guys. When I first saw this, I thought it was amazing, and then I started practicing on the Ellie Shaman with this legendary. In particular, let me switch back to the game. In particular, with this legendary here, right? Skybreakers. So like I started testing this out and I realized like I was showing you that if you take Surge of Power, you can actually have permanent uptime on your Fire Ellie already. You don't even need this set bonus. Now, if you want to take Primal Elementalist, which you most often would want to take because it's better than Surge of Power, I think. Maybe this tier set bonus sort of takes the place of the Surge of Power buff that we're getting. We are cooling down our Ellie even more than normal because of the Surge of Power buff. Okay, that's what we're doing. But the tier set is going to extend the duration of the elemental and or reduce its cooldown if it's not up, and then also will do more damage. So like, here's what I'm guessing, guys. In 9.2, you take Skybreakers, you take Elemental Conduit. You get to spread tons of flame shocks for free, and you're reducing the cooldown of your Ellie with all the flame shocks that are ticking. On top of that, you're not going to need Surge of Power anymore because you're going to have the set bonus from for Elemental, which is going to extend the duration of your guys. Instead, you can take Primal Elementalist, and these guys do a ton of damage, like way more damage than probably you're going to get out of Surge, right? Does that make sense? So you can sort of give up the cooldown reduction that Surge of Power was giving you, and instead trade it out for damage because the new tier set that's coming is going to give you the cooldown reduction that you're looking for. And also, you might be able to run Storm Ellie because you still need to cast Lava Burst. That's what extends the duration of your elemental, which is kind of unfortunate. But um, with all the combinations of things here, like with the extension here, Storm Elemental already lasts longer, and every lava burst is going to equal 1.5 seconds off of the cooldown um, of um, of Storm Ellie. So I think that there's going to be a build, guys. You can probably go fire or lightning. You can choose whichever one you want to do, and if you have the tier set. So that's the beauty of it. I think there's some real versatility here. You can go for a lightning build with the storm elemental and have the tier set cooling down your storm elemental, or you can go pure fire and go with the Venthyr, spreading all the flame shocks, getting the extra cooldown reduction. I mean, you're going to go there anyway, but all the extra fire damage because that when the fire Ellie is out, he makes you do more fire damage. Your flame shocks do more fire damage, right? So it's kind of going to be up to you because the tier set that we're getting is going to help cool down the elemental probably all the way. It's probably all you're going to need. Um, that's the build that I was looking at primarily, guys. These other legendaries aren't as interactive. So like Seeds of Rampant Growth, obviously, reduces the cooldown of your Fire Ellie like a huge chunk. It does 56 times 6. It does 36 seconds off the cooldown. We don't really need that. That's redundant now. If you're going to have the tier set bonus of every time you cast Lava Burst, it's going to extend your um, elemental by 1.5 seconds. Like you don't really need this anymore. Um, Does that make sense, guys? Like it's just not, it's a little redundant. You can still go Night Fae if you want. If you just like going Night Fae, by all means, you get crit chance, critical strike chance, which is very good, because your critical strike flame shock ticks will reduce the cooldown of your elemental. So like there's a little bit of synergy there with the crit chance from Night Fae. Very good. Vesper Totem is still just damage. It's just straight up damage. It's a lot of damage. Don't get me wrong. It's very good. If you just want to go carrying and do a ton of damage, this might be the highest DPS legendary of all the Covenant legendaries. The Necrolord one is still a little bit lacking, guys. I mean, you can go this way if you want, but it's not going to have the same kind of impact, I don't think, as the other three. Um, so it's up to you. The last thing I want to, excuse me, mention was, oh, I just had it in my head and I lost it. Oh, yes, this. Okay, I got it now. Ascendance. So let's look at this really quick. Let's take Ascendance, and I'll tell you why in a second. Actually, I'll tell you why right now. Let me read this for you. I'm looking on my other screen here, but we just looked at it. Here's the two-piece bonus of the set. Let me read it for you again. Casting Lava Burst extends the duration of Storm Elemental or Fire Elemental by 1.5 seconds. Okay, that's good. Casting Lava Burst, interesting. What happens when you press Ascendance? Look at the bottom half of this, guys. It says when you transform into a Flame Ascendant, instantly cast a Lava Burst at all enemies affected by your Flame Shock and refresh the duration of the Flame Shock to 18 seconds. Okay, 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 Blizzard. Let's what if we have this on? What if we have this legendary on? Which gets us 5 instant flame shocks. Well, what does that look like? Well, here's what it looks like right here. You go like this, you go like this, you wind up with a big chain harvest, and you press the sentence, watch all the lava bursts, ready? Boom, 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 boom. Do you see that? See how many went flying out right there? That's pretty cool. We just sent like a buttload of. Here's my point. Here's my point. You ready for this point? A sentence is not a button we usually take, okay? I get you. I understand. You're all yelling at me right now. Stormkeeper is the way to go. I get it. Just pretend like this button doesn't exist. Just block it out, okay? Just put your hand up there. This is kind of cool in Mythic Plus. You can press Chain Harvest and you're going to have the legendary puts all the flame shocks out. You're also going to have the legendary that reduces the cooldown, so we're still getting that bonus. But on top of that, guys, you'll also have the set bonus, which I was just reading, which is going to reduce the cooldown of your elemental. So you pop your Ellie first, then you press Chain Harvest, then you press Ascendance, and it puts all the flame shocks out, and then it throws a bunch of lava bursts at those flame shocks, and you saw a bunch of them overloaded. I don't know if the Overlord's going to count towards reducing the cooldown. I'm assuming it will, but I sent 5 lava bursts out right away, which is an automatic reduction on my Fire Ellie by 1.5. That's 7.5 seconds, 8 seconds, 7.5 seconds, I think. So I just immediately reduced it by 7.5 seconds, and then you're going to start getting all the lava surge procs. That's the build that I'm looking at, guys, from Elemental Shaman. I think I'm really going to try this when it comes out, when I put 2 comes out. Skybreakers plus Elemental Conduit plus the tier set, reducing the cooldown of our Fire Elemental, and then the only other thing you need is this conduit here that increases the duration of Fire Elemental, and you're off to the races. You will have permanent uptime on your Fire Elemental, which essentially turns you into like a Flame Shock guru of a build where your flame shocks are doing damage 25% quicker. All your flame shocks last twice as long, which is just so much more damage. You saw in the longer fight that we were doing. Was it this one? Yeah, this one here. Nope, that was a chain harvest one. Well, one of them, the one that we were on there for a long time. Do 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 do. Let's look really quick. Here it is. Flame shock dot was right at the top there. Flame shock dot. The point is you're going to have a build that really does focus on having tons and tons of flame shocks going, and you can keep your fire elemental up all the time. Guys, I think it's going to be really fun. Again, there's probably some other combinations of builds in here somewhere, but these 3 do not synergize as much as this one does because Flame Shock is such a core part of the kit for Elemental Shaman, right? Like it gives you Lava Surge. That's just what it does. So like that's pretty huge. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about all of this. Let me know what you think about Elemental Shaman. I think in 9.2, the tier sets that are coming, I thought they were initially kind of disappointing, but now I can see that there's ways to work it into a build that was going to give you, excuse me, it's going to give you permanent uptime on your elemental, which is tons of damage. And there's probably a way to work in Primal Elementalist instead of having to take Surge of Power, which is really, really strong. If you have a permanent Primal Fire Elementalist up, like the extra ability they get. Remember, guys, they get an extra ability. Like, let's cast him right now. There's Jimmy. He gets this ability down here, C6. I don't know why it's C6, but that's a meteor. That meteor just did 11k damage all on its own. It's actually like these guys are powerful. They're very powerful to have out. So let me know what you guys think about the build, and I'm gonna have more builds coming at you. And definitely let me know in the comments what you think about these builds. If there's something I missed, let me know, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.